Welcome everyone, Farmer Cop here. This is going to be a guide to animal grazing and custom pastures for Farming Simulator 25. So I'm going to talk about all those new features, which this is a pretty cool thing to add into the game where you can customize a pasture in a specific shape or form, however you want it to be. And you also can have animals graze in the game. But there are some kind of caveats and some interesting things about it. So I want to mention those and kind of answer some of your questions that you probably have about it. So we will go ahead and do that. I've done some extensive testing on this to make sure I give you guys the actual accurate information. I should also note, though, that this could be slightly different when you're watching it, depending on when you watch it, because I'm playing an early access version of the game. So if they realize some of the things that they don't like are there and they want to change it, they might update the game. And so some of this may not apply, but it should still be very accurate. And all of this will apply to all platforms. I am playing on PC, so my controls and everything are in PC, but this is the base game and there's no mods or anything like that I'm using. So it'll all work for that. But how do we build, or excuse me, let's just start up with this. What animals can graze in Farming Simulator 25? Cows can graze, water buffalo can graze, sheep can graze, and goats can graze. Those are all the animals that can graze. The ones that cannot graze are horses, chickens, and pigs. Again, no grazing for horses, chickens, and pigs. Just be aware of that. You can disagree, you can be angry about it. Doesn't matter if that's just the way the game is, so just be aware of that. I'm here to teach you, not here to argue. The other thing I'll note is that grazing is useless for cows and water buffalo. I'll explain that later, but it is pretty much useless. However, it is extremely useful for sheep and goats, I think, personally. But we'll do that. So how do you allow the animals to graze? Well, you have to build a pasture. You have to put a meadow in that pasture, which I'll show you how to do that. And you have to put animals in it, and then they will graze if they are able to graze. So how do you build a pasture? Well, we need to go into the build menu. I'm going to hit Shift P for me because I'm on PC, but we need to go on the build menu, and then we need to go here to animals, and we will just start with a cow pen, okay? Also note too, these first 3 pens here are only for breeding purposes. They are not able to produce milk in them. So, but it doesn't matter for our purposes. I'm just going to use this pasture here. So if I place this down, it'd be $15,000. I should note that as I make a custom pasture, which I'm about to show you, it is going to raise that price significantly. So it'll be the bigger the pasture, the more money you're going to spend because you have to pay for fencing and etc. So if I place this down, it's going to ask me, do you want to customize the fence? I'm going to say yes. So if I say yes, that standardized fence is gone now, and I can build a fence however I want. And you can get pretty crazy with it. I can go back around here, go around here. I can even include this in there if I want to. I don't care. I can do whatever I want. It's my pasture. I can go all the way up through here. I can make a really thin part there, go back out, make it another thin part out this way, go there, make a circle out here if I wanted to of some sort. As long as I have the money to pay for the fencing, I can kind of do whatever I want. And then eventually, though, I just need to loop back over here and connect it up with the other green post. And then once it's connected, it'll ask me the next question, do you want to plant a meadow? If you say no, this whole area I fenced in is going to remain whatever texture is there, which currently is concrete for most of it. So I'm going to say yes. And it will plant grass in the whole thing. Now it's going to tell me how much we spent up in the right-hand corner. It might have already actually gone away because I paused there for a while after I placed it all. But anyhow, we have a nice custom pasture. Now look over here. This says 7 animals. So you'd think, well, that'd be ridiculous if you can only put 7 cows in here, right? You are correct. If I go in here, I can put 143. The bigger the pasture, the more cows you can put in it. I've seen people get pastures that are testing it that have 1,000 or 2,000 cows in it because of how big it is. So make it bigger and it will have more pasture. And when you go to actually go in the animal menu here, I have some other pastures. You can ignore those, but this is the one we just placed here. So down here it says meadow. It's 0 liters. There's no meadow. Well, we know the grass is out there and it should be fine, right? Well, yeah, it should be absolutely fine, but there's nothing in there because we have to wait till the next day for this to refresh. So just be aware of that. It's not going to show up in anything until the next day. But I do want to talk about cows here for a second. So cows, when they're eating, and I'll talk more about this in my cow tutorial, they will eat from top to bottom. And what I mean for that is if there's any TMR, they'll eat that first, then eat anything else. If there's any hay, they'll eat that first, then anything else. Any silage, then anything else. Grass, anything else, then meadow. So if there's grass in here, they won't eat the meadow until the grass is gone. If there's silage in here, no grass in here, and meadow in here, they'll eat the silage till the meadow is gone. If there's TMR, hay, silage, grass, and meadow, they'll eat the TMR, then the hay, then the silage, then the grass, and the meadow. They won't eat them together. So because of that, if you have either grass or meadow, and that's all you're feeding your animals, they will not reproduce and they will not produce milk if you have a specific pen that allows milk production. Obviously, this one I said doesn't, so that's not even an issue here. But if you have the one that does and you do a custom animal pasture for that, that's the problem that you're going to run into, okay? So just be aware of that. It's pretty much useless for water buffaloes and cows. That's the other thing I want to note as well in here. Cows can be put in the cow pens, obviously, and so can water buffalo. They share the same pen. You can put them in there together, separate, doesn't matter, but this is where you're going to put your water buffalo. And when we go to sheep, this is where your goats go as well. So you can put a combination of sheep and goats in there, or just sheep or just goats, but there's not going to be goat pastures or water buffalo pastures up there, so just be aware of that. But yeah, so we place that. That is all fine and dandy. Now what I want to do is I want to place a massive goat pen over here as well. So if I go into here, or sheep, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to place, we'll place this barn down. You can see sheep eat hay and grass. So if I go down here, I'm just going to click there, and you can do this again with all of the pastures. Do you want to customize the fence? Yes, I do. Okay, so if I go in here, boom, boom, I can just make it go around the edge of this if I want to. Doesn't matter. Now I'm just going to make it ridiculously big because I want to just push the limits a little bit. So if I come down here, I can't even really see where my fence is. Now, obviously, you can zoom in to see them if you really want to know where they're all at. But I'm really just trying to push the limits of this program or this function. And now I can zoom in here. I want to finish it out. Perfect. It might take a second to load. That's a pretty big pasture. My game is currently frozen. There we go. Okay, it loaded up. So be careful. It might have issues on your PC. Yes, I'm going to hit plant. It'll plant a meadow. That was a fairly expensive pasture to plant, but it's absolutely massive. And now if I go up here to, where can I put sheep in? Here we go. Or goats, that matter. You can see goats are down at the bottom. But if we wanted to put goats in there, we can see we can put 924, which is epic. So you can do that if you'd like to. And if we go into here, take a look at our sheep barn. Meadow is 100%, so is grass. So this is why it's useful for goats and sheep. If you're putting hay or grass in, it goes into the grass category to feed them, and that's great. But if you put, well, if you just have the meadow like I do, this is going to be just as effective as grass or hay. So they're super great for using with sheep and stuff like that. So that's the fantastic part. Now, the other part I want to kind of mention here as well before I show you a couple other things. In terms of the pastures, the one thing I'll note in terms of the pastures here, when you go to build them, which you see here with obviously the cows and water buffalo ones and the sheep and goats, the bigger the pasture, the more animals. Does that work for all of the animals? That's what you should be asking. It works for cows and water buffalo, as I said, and goats and sheep. And I'll also tell you that it does work from testing with, where are they at? The pigs. So bigger pens. Now the pigs can't graze in the pens, but the bigger the pen, the more pigs you can put in there. However, it does not work for chickens, and it does not work for, where are the horses at? It does not work for horses. So you can make bigger pastures, at least from what I saw. I did it earlier. You can make custom pastures. So yep, I can customize it. So I can make it. Now, if I make it smaller, I don't know if that will reduce it at all. Final plant meadow. There we go. We're good to go there. So this is supposed to hold 11 horses. One thing I have not tested is if I make it smaller, will it hold less? So we can go test that right now. But I have tested, if you make a massive pasture, it won't hold any more than the pen is supposed to hold. And looks like, well, it does have 12 here, of course. Go figure. It wasn't working for me earlier, and now it's working. So let's go back into build mode and make sure I'm not crazy here. Yep, it does hold 12 horses. So if you customize it, you can do that. So yeah, I guess I was wrong about that one. Let's try to make a bigger one here, see if we can get more horses in there. I think I used one of the barns, so maybe that could have been the issue. Maybe the pasture will hold more. I didn't test it with every single one. And again, we're still learning, and even though I've done a bunch of testing, I'm still getting stuff figured out here. So let's sell that off. Let's try this again, and let's actually make it a lot larger. We're running kind of out of space here, and I want to leave those for demonstration purposes, but I own this land over here, so let's just do it right across the way. So if I do that, I want to customize it. I got to go this way first. Let's just make a massive horse pasture. There we go. And, okay, plant meadow. Let's hop out of there. Let's go take a look at our custom horse pasture over here and see how many horses we can put in it. Now, I'm not sure you'd want to take care of hundreds of horses, but maybe it's possible. So let's go ahead and see. All right, 16. There we go. It's definitely different, but that could have been the other thing. What I'm going to bet now, and I could do a little bit more testing, I bet 16 is the max you're allowed to have in it, because I did a custom fence on one of these barns. So these ones, you might be able to bump up to 16 if you go a little bigger, but I would bet 16 is the max that you can do. So that's with horses. You can get up to 16 if you want, but nothing bigger than that. yeah, and then another question I want to answer too is if you wanted to move animals from pasture to pasture, let's say you have a pasture over here that holds 100 sheep and you wanted to move them over here because this one has meadow ready to go, and so that way you kind of trade them back and forth between the two. Can you do that? Yeah, just load them into a trailer like this and move them around. Now, when you go into the store to buy these trailers for animal transport, they are down here under animal transport. Now, you'll see also at the bottom, it has cows, pigs, and sheep. I can confirm that the sheep is also applicable to goats. This will also hold 13 goats, and the cows is also applicable to water buffalo. So this will also hold 6 water buffalo. Just be aware that the symbols aren't there. So when you're confused about, well, where is it? How do I do that? That's what's going on. But yeah, let's go ahead and sleep through the night, and we will go ahead and see how much grass and how much meadow is in each of these. They'll be different. The bigger the area is, the more meadow that is in there, which is awesome. So here we go. Let's go ahead and, yeah, let's go ahead and just sleep to 8 a.m. tomorrow. All right, it is 8 a.m. We have slept through the night. Let's go into our animal pens here. We can see this meadow has 394,707 liters in it. So basically, if you put one animal in there, it'll never run out of food. Horse pasture, you can see there's no meadow in there because they can't graze. If we go over to this, nope, where's our cow pasture? Here's our cow pasture, 64,000 liters in that cow pasture. So this one has 394, this one has 64,000, which that's about proportionate there. So pretty cool. And this one has 0 because it's a horse pen. So you can get pretty creative and do a lot of different things with this. And now the final question that you may want to ask is, well, what happens if you run out of grass? How long does it take to fill it back up? Well, we're going to test that. Let's go ahead and put some wonderful little goats in here. You can do up to 250 at a time. I'm going to buy them. Perfect. I want this to go fast, so I'm going to buy quite a few. I'm just going to max this barn out if I can here. There we go. So thankfully you don't have to do the 60 at a time because that'd be kind of obnoxious. And there we go. So we just put a bunch of money into goats, and you can see that there should be goats out there and about. Now, you're not going to see all 700 goats out there. They're going to be a set amount that can be out here for performance issues. So if you're expecting to see 900 some odd goats out here, you're not. You're only going to see a few, which does ruin part of the aesthetic, I will say, for a pasture, especially this size. But it just kind of is what it is. But it is cool that they will go throughout the entire pasture. So these guys are happy. They have water here as well. So we can see here, if we go over to our sheep barn, their productivity, their health is all going to go up. All that stuff is going to be fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward until we get this guy completely empty here. So I'll bring you guys back in when we get there. All right, welcome back in. I have some, some frustrating news. So our animal pen here has no metal left. It took, to be fair though, the 924 or whatever goats were in there, it took them the entire year to eat that. Well, it took them until winter. It took them about 9 months. What is it? 5, 6, 8, 9 months? No, 8 months. 8 months to eat it all. 8 months to eat it all. So it almost took them, you know, the whole season basically, which it ended out where they were exactly out of meadow at the end of the year, which I don't know if it's calculated that or not. But that kind of made sense where you could feed them the whole year like that. And I was like, okay, well, maybe in March, when it's a new year, it'll replenish. And it did not. And I was like, okay, well, maybe it won't replenish unless I start feeding the goats. So I started feeding them. The problem is that this will only hold, I can put some more in here, actually, if I get just buy some more hay here. Oh, no, wrong. There. Nope. Come on, give me the right. Sure, do that, and then put something else in there. Okay, perfect. Let's get to, doesn't matter, hay or grass. It takes both. So I back up here. I can put more in there. However, this barn's capacity is only like 5,500 liters, I think. 4,500 liters. So 900 goats ate about just over 2,000 liters a day, which doesn't seem like a lot, honestly. So it seems like, or excuse me, not 2,000 a day. 2,000 an hour, which still doesn't seem like a lot, but that still is a lot. So every 2 hours, I had to replenish this. That I just had to for that many animals. So even though the pen is that much bigger, it doesn't increase the capacity. So just be aware of that. That's one frustration I have. But yeah, so I assumed, okay, if the meadow's not recovering, even in March, maybe if I provide them with grass so they have something to eat, or hay or whatever, the meadow will start increasing. And it didn't after several months. So I decided, okay, I took all the animals out. I sold all the animals off, and I went a whole year of fast forwarding. And this still doesn't have any meadow left in it. which is really frustrating. And I tried as well. I was like, well, maybe you can paint some more in there. I don't know. You shouldn't have to do that. Maybe you can paint some metal, but this whole area is restricted. I can paint outside of it, but inside of it, I can't do anything. I also can't place anything like a tree or anything I want. So if you're going to place a custom pen and you want some decorations in there, what I would say is make sure you put them in first or put them down first and then build around it. So those are my only frustrations. Now, the only last thing I kind of have to show you is you can delete the pen. So if you wanted to, you can hit sell. Yes. Okay. And then if I wanted to, I could place another one. To be fair, I think it was probably 150,000-ish to place this, or maybe a little bit more. And that's honestly, for feeding 900 goats for most of the year, that's pretty good. So even if you did have to destroy it and replace it, I get that's obnoxious and really frustrating, but it's not the end of the world, to be fair. It is obnoxious because you'd have to move all your goats somewhere as well. If you had 2 pens and you rotated back between the 2 of them, that held a similar amount, like maybe you did only a few hundred or something like that, you know, it'd be really frustrating, especially with base game equipment, to move them back and forth because that trailer doesn't hold. It doesn't hold that much. This one, you know, you're doing 38 at a time, and it would be less for cows or something else. So, yeah, those are kind of things just to kind of weigh and keep in mind. Now, again, it might get fixed. It's probably something that is not supposed to work that way. It's supposed to recover, but we still have all this wonderful meadow out here, which I'm assuming we can mow and do whatever we want with it. So that's pretty cool. Now, one thing we can actually test real quick while I still have you guys here before we wrap it up is if I place down a sheep pen, we'll do just a barn again. If I place it, I can't do it exactly there because I have all that junk in the way. But if I do it like right in the middle of this, hit yes, customize, put a pen of some kind in there, and then go back over to there. Oh, it says error is restricted. Let me get it. There we go. I'm going to say no to that. Now my question is there meadow in there? Which we can walk up, and yeah, there is 12,973. So there's still meadow that exists there because it's already been painted and it's already been put down. It just, for whatever reason, you have to replace the pen. So I'm assuming that will be a glitch that will get fixed. So if you're watching this and you're like, that's not how that works, that will be one thing. But in terms of everything else in this video, that should all hopefully have been helpful for you guys. So that's what I got. I hope this was helpful. If it was, please drop a like down below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button up on the screen to join the Farmer Cop channel and turn your notification bell so you don't miss any future videos I may post. This has been Farmer Cop. Thank you guys for coming and watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.